We never really did anything to this side of the street yet.
Not yet.
We haven't seeded it. We're just basically cutting back some of the aggressive plants. We've put a little bit of seed through here. So, but that's part of the plan moving forward, is to try to create these nice little prairie areas along hillside.
And those are the riparian buffers that we're talking about,
Right.
that are going to hold on to that stormwater runoff and filter what does get in.
Right,
before
there's,
it gets into the
salt
slough.
and other things that run
Right.
off into the slough, and we don't want that to negatively impact the water and the
Right now,
wildlife.
it's serving as a placeholder.
Yes.
So,
But we can show them the native plantings over here.
yeah. So this is part of the Grow It, Don't Mow It program that we have. If residents are interested in naturalizing part of their yards, if they come out and volunteer with us to a serious degree, we will assist them with herbiciding, seed, plugs,
Planting.
helping them to learn all about it and how to manage it. And if need be, we'll actually burn it too.
So all around the slough too, you will see these oaks that have been planted. They usually have a little white flag around them. They're just baby oaks, but last year the Girl Scouts planted 25 oaks around the slough and around Morava for the
It was
project.
a Bronze Star project.
Yeah. So hopefully those oaks are going to grow up, and oaks used to be the dominant tree species in the area. 60% of the trees were oaks, and they support a great deal of wildlife. There's over 500 species of moth and butterfly caterpillars that depend on oaks. And that's also because they were the most dominant tree species. They're also fire tolerant, so they withstand fire.
They're what, they planted 32 or 25 of these? 25, you can see there's another one down there.
Yeah.
So
They're
all
over.
around the slough, they planted 25 of these projects, and
I
they
don't know
can.
if we need to see the plantings, but there is actually a trail going through over here.
This is where the riparian buffers start.
And we're going to work our way down hillside. But there are nice little paths and little winding paths throughout these nice prairie plantings of a lot of plants. I guess we could go see them, Dana, right? So we'll just wind our way through here, and I'll point out some nice things. So this is rosinweed. It's one of the silphiums. It's a nice little prairie plant, rosinweed. This is New England aster that's not flowering yet, but it has clasping leaves. So you can see that the leaves actually hug the stem, and that's one way that you could tell it's New England aster. This is some more over here. There's the black-eyed Susans, the Rudbeckia hirta. And then over here, this is going to flower next week. This is the wild bergamot, and we did see a little bit of it flowering over there. And then some Ohio spiderwort that is actually already spent and going to seed. So we'll be collecting seed from this. But it's a beautiful little blue flower that was flowering for about a month last month. And then we have our gray-headed coneflower right here. Oh, and there's a patch of Monarda actually that's flowering right now. It's already starting to flower. But this whole section will be that beautiful lilac purple in just about a week. So there's another really nice, this is a Indian plantain. So that's another nice little prairie plant. And then over here we have a baptisia that's going to seed already. So this is baptisia. Okay. And we could take the path back this way.
This is Dana's secret trail.
Yeah, but the plantings continue all the way to Elmhurst Road with a lot of nice native plants.
Now we're entering on that trail that we said was on to the north, that parallels Elmhurst Road. So that goes to Elmhurst Road right at the creek. And then, of course, all the plum trees go along Elmhurst Road. You see how radical the landscape can be just in this little tiny given area. I mean, this is crazy. Completely different environment.
Right, so this little stand over here is chokecherry. It's a really nice native tree shrub, small tree shrub. And so this is one of the things that we left that wasn't buckthorn. That's a really nice native. You can see all the berries hanging from that chokecherry. You can imagine how many birds would love to eat that right now. And they will. When we walk back here in a week, they'll be gone, I'm sure.
So we're here right now back at the Isaac Walton Pavilion, and we've just completed the south loop and of course the boardwalk over here. So now we're going to go on the north trail, and we're going to go across the north boardwalk. So there's the trail, and let's hit it. You'll notice right here on the tree, though, here's another art project. These trees have these little elfin doors, and these are, this is Zeke and his family are making these little doors that they're putting up throughout the park, and each of them have a message. So it's pretty interesting. So again, all this used to be buckthorn. Throughout the boardwalk, you have these benches that are really nice to just sit down and look at the clouds. It's pretty cool. All of this, you want to tell them what these are?
The cordgrass?
Everything.
Oh, yes. So these cattails used to actually come all the way up to this cordgrass. So where the boardwalk is, the cattails came up all the way over here and all along down that tree line. So last year is when we took away those cattails, and then we planted a lot of nice native sedges in its place. And a lot of these are called warrior sedges. So they are strong sedges that can compete with cattails, compete with invasive reed canary grass. And then you see some of these cattails are coming back. So that's what we're going to address this weekend and over the next 2 weeks to try to keep pushing it back. But you'll see, I'll point out some really nice plants here, like over here on this side, right here. See, this is one of those sedges that we planted. And this is Carex lupulina. It's a very nice wetland sedge. And then so you can see all the sedges through here as well. So this is a really nice native loosestrife instead of the invasive one. We do have a native winged loosestrife. So that's a nice little native. And then we had another example of something that came back once we replaced the cattails, which was really exciting. We didn't know that we even had this plant, and it doesn't look like much of a plant, but it's actually a pretty special plant. It's got these beautiful little yellow ball flowers, and this is a tufted loosestrife, which is actually a rare plant that occurs in wetlands. And so where these cattails were, where we removed them, this loosestrife came in completely on its own, and it's really neat. And actually one of our commissioners had seen this at a nature preserve recently, so he was able to identify it when he saw it over here. And then you see just scattered cattails over here, but you can really see the sedges that are coming in.
Yeah, so this, you recall we were talking about reclaiming 3/4 of an acre from the cattails for the boardwalk project as part of that grant. So this would be the area where that has happened.
Yes.
And you can see that if you look at the understory, you see all of the sedges that are green that are coming up, and they're really starting to take over and hold their own. So you see the dead foliage that is there. That was the first round of the next wave of cattails trying to get back in. We wicked those, and then this little bit that you see now, these wispy things, we're going to take care of that this weekend. We may have to do that 2 or 3 more times before those turn into what you see over on the other side, where you have really dense concentration of sedges.
You know, these cattails, they took over. It took them years and decades to take over, so it doesn't happen overnight to take them away and restore what really should be here.
But it is definitely worth the battle.
For sure. So you can really see over here, this used to all be cattail, and now it's just beautiful sedges and swamp milkweed and some false aster. There's some calamagrostis and more swamp milkweed out there where there's light. And I really like this sedge. This is a really cute sedge over here. The reason I like it is it's very 3-ranked. You know, they say sedges have edges. So you can see how the leaves fall apart into 3s. This sedge is strongly 3-ranked, so it has 3 sides and those leaves fall apart. It's muskingum sedge, and there's no other sedge that really does it quite like that. So.
This is about 150-year-old, right?
Oh no. No, I mean, we don't know how old the tree is, but basically cottonwoods grow really fast. So it could be really only just a 50-year-old tree, because if you had a sized oak like that, it would be maybe 150 or 200 years old. But cottonwoods grow incredibly fast.
And they're always situated around water.
Yeah. One of the cool things about cottonwoods too is, we don't have a leaf right now, I wish I could show you, but the way that they flap in the wind like that, you could tell you have a cottonwood from a distance.
Touch me not.
Touch me not, yes. So this really cool orange plant, this is called jewelweed, but it's also called touch-me-not, and it's a nice little wetland plant. And the reason that it's called touch-me-not is because when it forms these little seed capsules, if you were to, let me see if I can find one, if you were to touch one of these capsules, they basically just burst in your hand. It's a really funny feeling. It's really fun to do. They just burst right in your hand, so touch-me-not.
And they're also supposedly a natural remedy for poison ivy.
For poison ivy. They have a
So if you get a poison ivy out in the field and you see that plant,
yes,
use it.
yeah, they're very succulent, so they're very juicy inside. So you could rub that salve on a poison ivy.
In the spring, this was all trout lilies and
Yeah.
all kinds of other stuff. You can see how different this is over here. The canopy is more open, and so the light is more dappled as opposed to over by those choke cherries where it was so dense.
So this is these are one of my favorite sedges because it's so identifiable. Dana calls it the COVID sedge, but it's actually called Gray's sedge or Carrick's grayii, and it likes this sort of habitat, a little bit wooded, a little bit moist. The other plant that's over here that's already went to seed is this little field of starry false Solomon seal. In the springtime, it's quite beautiful when it's flowering. It's right now going to seed already. It has these little berries. But this is another plant that appeared on its own when we took away that buckthorn. So that was a nice surprise over here too.
Here. So this comes out onto Maple Marion. There's a ComEd sign.
Yeah, ComEd sign.
And just like that, civilization. Couldn't be more crazy.
A little treasure tucked away.
Morning, Mike.
How you doing?
Good, how are you?
I've been meaning to inquire for some time. The philosophy you have toward either mowing or whacking the tall reeds.
Yeah.
Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. How do you decide?
Oh, the cattails?
Yeah, the cattails.
Oh, like with these guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're pushing back on those.
You're trying to move them back?
Yeah, we're trying to push
I mean,
them
move them back, get rid of them over certain areas, just certain areas, because you can't get rid of all of them.
I don't suppose.
No, and they actually provide good habitat for muskrats, but we are trying to, because they are invasive. You know, they just take over and form this big monoculture, don't allow anything else to grow. So we're trying as much as we can. We did a section over here, and then we did a section on the other side of the slough, really where we can...
every now and then I go on the walkway and
Yeah. This is all part of the, this was part of the last grant we had for the boardwalk, was to reclaim like 3/4 of an acre back
So
from the...
Right now we're trying to work in areas around the boardwalk. And so you'll see some of those cattails coming back. So next week we're going to start working on those, especially around the boardwalk.
trying to get rid.
Yeah, finish them off.
Yeah.
So we started with, last year's interns actually clear cut about 3/4 of an acre of cattails. And then they followed it up with herbicide. They just shot it straight down the
And then we
remaining
planted
shafts.
thousands of sedges there.
8,000 warrior sedges to take hold and take place, and then make sure that the cattails don't come back.
The cattails have a really deep root structure.
They do. It's rhizomatous. They're all connected.
Yeah.
Like a big happy family. It's really hard to get rid of them.
Right.
And there's so many of them that it's just a lot of labor-intensive things,
Right.
you know? So it would be virtually impossible for us to do. I mean, it could be done, but it would take 10 years, 20
That's
years.
part
I
of the
don't know.
management plan.
So each year we
absolutely.
do a little bit. So we try to prioritize, for instance, so the interns start off with reed canary grass because they need to get that before it goes to seed. Because if we let it seed, then it'll be everywhere and it'll completely take over. So they start off with things that are, everything's sort of time bound, you know? They take care of the reed canary first, make sure that that's all done, then they move on to the next thing. So we're not at cattails yet because there's been so many other invasives that have been really important to get to before they spread by seed, especially by seed. So that's why, that's what they've been doing. They're working on thistle right now. There's some teasel, and then there's other areas too. So not only the slough, but we have the ComEd Prairie, Morava, Heron
I've
Pond.
wondered at times when you do the controlled burn, usually the cattails don't get involved with that.
Well, this year is the first year they didn't burn. They didn't burn very well at
Yeah,
all,
we
which was a
tried.
mystery to us.
We
Usually
tried.
when you light those, it's like a DC-10 went down. I mean, it's just whoosh,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
they're
it's
gone.
Huh.
But, you know, it doesn't take them out.
Right, it doesn't get
So
rid of
if you
them.
burn them in the fall and you get a complete burn, you can go back in herbicide, and that helps.
That helps, right.
but so far this year, we've been concentrating on not losing any ground to the 3/4 of an acre that we've already
Already done.
reclaimed.
Yeah.
And then this weekend and the next 2 weekends, we're going to continue to push to remove more of those. Eventually, yeah, we'd like to limit it
Get
to
more.
a small pocket.
Right, maybe like a small area for the
And
muskrats.
leave it for the
like an
muskrats.
island of cattails for the
muskrats.
muskrats.
Yeah.
And everything else restored to its former glory of being a
So
sedge
it's just the
meadow.
muskrats that like that, or?
No, there's other things, but the
Well,
problem is
red-winged blackbirds love to nest.
the problem is that there used to be native cattails in the area. But because of this Eurasian species that was brought over, those two hybridized, and now the hybrid cattail is invasive. So cattails used to support a lot of wildlife back when they weren't invasive. Now most of this is all invasive cattail.
So the history of this, I know you sent it to me years ago. It had been a meadow for a farm, or
Yeah,
there
so
had been drainage tile in the
yes,
middle of it.
apparently it was drained. So at the
And then
Kennecott farm, it was
Okay.
so it was a Kennecott farm, and they had a dairy. So a dairy that used to supply milk to Chicago, and then it was sold off. And then the farmer that purchased the land, I guess, drained it, or at least so the story goes that we found in the historical accounts. And then at some point, when the development of the houses started around here, either a contractor or someone must have broken a drain tile, because suddenly the slough filled back up with water. And there's even aerial photos that you can see that it looked really dry, and then all of a sudden in like
Yeah, it was like a little creek or
1939,
something.
yeah, in like 1945, it looked like it was wet again. And so that's the thought. And so somebody actually wrote a little piece that I came across at the library that said that it was spring fed because it suddenly, but I don't think it was spring fed. It's just someone broke the drain tile that drained the slough.
It's just a lowland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I
now
mean, it's a traditional slough that's been here for probably thousands of years.
Right, because it's on the.
But it was drained by farmers.
Yeah.
Well, this eventually goes out to what? The Des Plaines River?
It does, yeah.
And it comes from the higher part up by Eisenhower School.
Right,
golf
it does,
course.
yeah. Tributary A. of
It
McDonald's
comes
Creek.
from Arlington Heights all the way in. How you doing?
Enjoying nature.
Oh, good.
We saw you filming over there by
Yeah.
the water.
Well, you're on the film too. What do you think of this place?
Amazing,
Yeah.
amazing. One of my clients that I just met on Saturday told me the history on what happened here.
Yeah.
And today's my birthday, and my sister.
Oh, yeah,
was
happy birthday.
Thank you. Was taking me out, and I said I want to come over here.
Awesome.
So I'm passing the message on to people. because
Yay.
It's an amazing story,
Yeah.
and I just love the aesthetics of it.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm Dana. This is Agnes.
Hi, Dana. Back,
We're-
and that's Laura. Love
Hey,
your
Laura.
shirt.
Yeah. We're commissioners with the Natural Resources Commission. So we're actually making a video tour of the slough today.
Nice.
So
Nice.
now you're part of it.
Thank you.
But go to the other sites, because the other sites are just, every site we have is like crazy
And
good.
how do you find the other sites?
Well, you can go to our website, phnrc.com, and there all the sites are listed there. But you know where the tennis courts are on Camp McDonald Road behind the swimming pool?
No. By PH what?
phnrc.com.
Thank you.
Okay, so if you go back here on Elmhurst to Camp
Yeah.
McDonald and go that way instead of going to Walgreens,
Okay.
okay, you'll see the swimming pool. If you turn in where the swimming pool is and go right to the back where the tennis courts are and park, there's a 2-acre, really just beautiful park. It's got a lowland and an upland, and there's a creek that bisects it, and it's all been naturalized. And there's steps that go up to the
creek.
It goes through the creek on stones, and then we have.
Backyard in my own bed.
Yeah.
See?
But the best one is we have a 5-acre prairie that we've turned mowed turf grass under the ComEd power lines.
Under the power lines.
5 acres into a full-blown prairie.
Right
So
next-
Under the power lines?
under the power line.
but right next to the bike path. So it's the Prospect Heights bike path, and you can bike right next to it.
And it has a big giant mow path that walks
You
right
can
through the
walk
middle.
through it,
It
too.
is unbelievable. All the plants are like this tall, and the pollinators are going crazy.
Yeah.
And you come back in about 3 weeks, and this will look completely different.
Oh, it's amazing.
Everything is
I
just
walk
starting
the
to
forest
bloom.
preserves twice a week with my cousin, and we just walked St. James. I'm out west, so
Yeah.
we were at St. James, and we were walking. I'm like, we were just here recently, right? Completely different.
Yeah.
And it's only been 3 weeks. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I love that part about it.
This is our headquarters, and
We wondered.
yeah, that's where we have our greenhouse program. So
There's 40,000 plants up there right now in
Holy
pots.
man! Holy man!
you can come up and look real quick if you want.
40,000
we sure
40,000 plants. We'll show you.
So these are some second year, third year plants.
Yeah, Tully just plants everywhere. Seeds. We're already collecting seeds.
Collecting spiderwort.
And then this is all the plants that we're gonna plant this year.
There's 40,000 plants here.
Holy man.
Yeah.
Do you have a volunteer group?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
I
the only way
think
we
that
can.
she's part of the volunteer group.
Yeah.
And
That's
she-
the only way we can get this done with volunteers.
absolutely.
So volunteers.
I was gonna say, do you guys go in and take care of some of the invasive
Oh yeah.
stuff?
We
Yeah.
manage it. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
We manage
So we were
everything.
just walking through, and so I saw the ones that
Yes,
they're
there's
pretty,
plants
but they
tucked
strangle
in.
everything.
Yes, yeah, the bindweed, that's a
Yeah.
big problem.
Yeah.
Everybody's got that. Oh,
Well,
every
I got it in my home.
yeah.